I recently received an email from one of the audience members which talked about how she's dating somebody, but they've not yet had any form of penetrative sex because she's terrified of the pain she thinks she's going to experience. And you know what? This is a very, very commonly experienced phenomena, pain during penetrative vaginal sex. And while it is a negative experience, I'm glad that more people are now becoming vocal about it. So I thought I'm going to have a sexpert over today and talk about this more. But before that, welcome to our podcast, Allo, Ask the Sexpert, a space where we talk about sex, pleasure, wellness, and answer all of your questions with a sexpert so that you can have better sex and safer sex backed by science. So I've already told you what today's topic is. Let me quickly introduce you to today's sexpert. It's somebody you already know, Kanusha, who's an in-house therapist with Allo Health. Welcome back, Kanusha.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Artika. What do we have planned for today?
So we're going to be talking about painful sex and more specifically painful penetrative sex.
Okay.
And the first question that comes to mind is it very common? Because a lot of people tend to be scared of the pain. And you know, a lot of times it's something they've anticipated. So is it very common to experience pain during sex, especially penetration?
Well, I don't know if I'd say very, very common, but it's definitely common, right? And I think, again, that's based on a lot many other factors, but that we have had a lot of women come in with complaints of, you know, I've had sexual intercourse and it just hurts, it pains, and then that causes so much of fear associated with it, and they sort of start to just avoid it and say that, you know, not my cup of tea, and I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's precisely how the conception of today's episode started, that somebody wrote to us and talked about exactly this.
Right.
That they're avoiding having sex because they're anticipating it'll be very, very painful.
Yes.
And then the next thing is that, you know, if there are so many people who are experiencing this pain, is it even a concern? Or is it just part of regular sexual experience for these folks?
I would say it is a concern, you know, if it happens more than one or two times. And, you know, see, if something distresses you or causes you discomfort more than once or twice, it's, you know, we definitely look at it as a concern. But do I go into why this tends to happen?
Yeah, definitely.
Causes for it? So this is something that we call vaginismus, which is, it refers...
So there's a name for it.
There is. And this refers to when, you know, the vaginal opening sort of contracts, it sort of like tightens up. And that is because of some sort of conscious or subconscious fear or anxiety a woman might have about either, you know, just penetration or just about how she's going to be able to have sex. So that extreme fear causes for that to happen, and, you know, obviously, when something's tight, you can't sort of get past it. And that's what causes the pain and just leads to a lot of other unpleasant.
And so vaginismus itself is caused due to some underlying reasons, like you mentioned, some stress, anxiety, you know, psychological concerns. And so if I were to ask that if somebody has vaginismus, shouldn't they be experiencing some form of pain in their vagina, vulva, even when they're not having penetrative sex?
Not when they're not having it. So like I said, it happens only when there's fear or anxiety, right?
Got it.
And a lot many times we have women who've either heard of some bad stories of how sex will be,
or had
from
bad
friends,
experiences,
or had that. So either they've heard of it, they've had bad experiences themselves, or, you know, they've just read something online where people have said it's going to be terrible and you just bleed and everything sort of fall apart. So that causes that anxiety and deep fear in them. So when they're attempting intercourse, they sort of, you know, stiffen up. The vaginal opening just tightens. So, you know, when there is attempted penetration, it obviously becomes very difficult and causes for the pain and discomfort.
Absolutely. And because you said it is something that's recognized as a concern, how is one able to differentiate if this is regular? I don't know if I should even use the word regular, but if this is a decent amount or a tolerable amount of pain, or this could be something like vaginismus.
So, you know, if they think it's okay, I mean, it's causing me light discomfort or pain, but it's okay, then it's okay. But if they're, you know, couples unable to engage in sexual intercourse because of this, or it's causing a lot of pain to the woman, then, you know, you don't have to wait for it to happen a number of times, but you just sort of consult with a doctor then.
Right, absolutely. Just, you know, talking about all of this, I'm wondering, what does pleasure feel like then for someone who has vaginismus? Are there treatment options available? How do you navigate pleasure? I'm assuming people who experience this pain are still people who may want to experience pleasure.
So there are different ways of achieving or experiencing sexual pleasure. It could be clitoral stimulation. That's how most women experience an orgasm, by the way. Fun fact, right? If not, it could be sexual stimulation of other areas on the body. It could be the neck for someone, the waist for someone else. So the different ways, definitely, it's not dependent only on vaginal penetration.
Got it. And, if you were to talk about a more permanent fix, of course, like you said, other ways to experience pleasure can be explored. But on the side or parallelly, do we also have any treatment or medication options available for vaginismus?
We do. I think we focus more on therapy than medication. But wherever suitable, there is some slight medication or rather an ointment that would help. But I think therapy plays a very big role because we work on identifying what's causing, the anxiety or the fear, and then we work overcoming that, either just for the person individually or as a couple.
Yeah. Thank you so much for answering that. And I'm also glad that we were able to use this space to address this, because I think, I've heard conversations about painful sex or having pain during sex, but it's usually like with a group of friends, or you tell your friends and then everyone's like, oh yeah, I also experience it. And then nobody really picks it up as a concern, and nobody is even really trying to solve for it because they assume, okay, everybody's experiencing it.
Yes.
Must be normal.
Yes.
And also was really surprised, but also glad to receive some questions about this. And glad just because I'm glad they're being able to ask you these questions and hear answers from you. And I'm just going to take you through the section where we answer people's questions.
Yes.
This section is called Ask Your Question because we handpick your questions sent in to us. You can send us your questions anonymously, and we leave a link in the description below. I'll just get started with the first question.
Yes.
Great. I experience pain sometimes and sometimes I don't. How should I make it stop once and for all?
So there could be a couple of reasons for that. I think she would definitely require a detailed evaluation by a doctor.
Right.
But it could be either because, sometimes she's not sexually aroused, thus leading to a lack of lubrication, thus leading to, friction during intercourse maybe. Or it could be maybe sometimes, you're just tired, you're not in the mood, or sometimes you probably have an infection, a UTI. So it could be typical reasons around this, or if you've maybe masturbated a little roughly, so the area feels a little sore. So many reasons, which is why it's important to consult with the doctor first and then
have it evaluated.
Yes.
All right. The second question is, I've started hating sex because it hurts too much. How should I tell my partner about it?
I think the one very important thing we've been talking about very commonly is communication, and what a big role it plays.
I think it's a common theme across sexual wellness.
Exactly, right? So I think sexual intimacy in general is largely based on communication, likes and dislikes, so on and so forth. So I think it's very important she should be able to, or rather develop, being able to talk to her partner and say that it's not okay and it's causing me discomfort, because otherwise how is it even a pleasurable activity? The second thing is, maybe she herself can consult with a doctor therapist, or maybe both of them together. But unfortunately does lead to avoidance and, a lot of negative emotions. But I think once you have it understood and identified and then treated, sexual intimacy can be very pleasurable and enjoyable.
And it may become better and healthier for you than ever before, right?
Yes.
Okay, the last question for today's segment is, I haven't been sexually active yet, but I have endometriosis. I'm scared it'll hurt when I have sex because that's what I've read online. Is it true?
Yeah, unfortunately, that can be a little, cause a few problems here and there, and it is a very painful condition for many women. But that doesn't necessarily mean you can't have sexual intimacy or sexual intercourse with someone. But again, I think it's advisable to consult with a doctor because based on your symptoms or the severity of it, appropriate medication treatment can be given, and a few lifestyle modifications on the side, and I think you should be good to go.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for answering those and sharing your time with us. We're always so happy to have you.
Likewise.
But today I want to take a special moment to thank everybody who's been watching us, listening to us, and sending us brilliant ideas about topics that we should cover, topics that are relevant to you. So that brings us to the end of season 1 of Allo, Ask the Sexpert. And like all endings, it's a bittersweet one. While I'm really sad that this is coming to an end, I also could not be more grateful that I got to talk to all of you and connect with you all, even though it was virtually, and speak to all of the Sexperts to bring to you information that's reliable and science-backed and is something that we'll use in our day-to-day lives. But picture abhi baki hai mere dost. We're going to be back with the season 2 very soon. So keep writing to us and tell us what Sexperts you want, what topics you want, and what are the questions we can answer. Until then, take care and bye.
As a Sexpert.